What is up, y'all? You are checking out the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. I'm Ant, and I'm joined by my friend.
This is Nick with the Heel to Face Podcast.
Heel to Face Podcast. My bud Nick, how are you doing, my man?
Not too bad, man. How about you today?
I'm alright, can't complain. Everyone who is listening, this is our first All Elite Wrestling recap with our rebrand to the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Recap. Well, oh my goodness, that's not the name of our fucking show. The name of our show is the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. Can't even get that right today. And this is live. We're going uncensored, right? So that's the whole point. Anyway, so you are going to hear many different recaps from different companies, including AEW, Impact Wrestling, and many more to come. We'll talk more about that down the line. But first, you are checking out your AEW Dynamite episode from February 23rd, 2022. Thankfully, I was in attendance for this in Bridgeport. Have a lot to talk about. This is a pretty decent show. A lot happened. We found out some more possible matches for Revolution, more contenders for the Revolution ladder match. And yeah, so let's get right into it. So the night starts off with the, I think it was a 10-team tag. And I was first time being there. And what I liked about the show to begin with was before anything happened, Tony Khan came out and he thanked us all for being there and was just very energetic. I also noticed, and this is just because I've been going to these wrestling shows since I was little. I know, Nick, you have too. Back in WWE, when I was little, before the shows, they would put on music to get you pumped up, like just random music. They don't do that anymore in WWE. They just have you wait. Well, AEW sure does, and we were getting down. They were playing rock music, just all.
Oh yeah, man! Hell yeah! That's what they were doing. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
That's what they were doing at the Chicago show. I was really enjoying it, man. They really know how to get you hyped up. And Tony Khan came out too, and he really has a way to make you feel like you're connected with the company and what's going to happen that night, and you feel like you're all in one big family just for one big night, and it's great.
He was screaming, "Let's go!" I'm like, dude, this guy.
Oh yeah, he gets excited.
No, I was like, this poor guy's gonna like fucking lose his voice.
Right, but how are you not gonna get excited when the man putting on the show is not excited? You kind of feel like you gotta put a little bit in there.
Oh yeah, you want to fucking jump up and like lose your fucking mind.
Yeah.
So I guess what I'll say now is throughout the recap, I'll give you sort of my first-hand experience with this. I was sitting, so the hard camera is basically where they film. So the hard camera was sort of on the left to me. So where I was sitting, their backs weren't directly to me, but they're like, it kind of was. So when they were facing the side of the ring to look at the camera, so I couldn't really see certain things. One thing I didn't like about this thing was with the opening of the 10-man tag, or not 10-man tag, it was the Battle Royal, was that they didn't have the entrances for the specific teams. They all just came out together. And
oh, really?
Yeah, like they all didn't get their own entrance. They all just came out together. And I was saying to myself, I'm like, think about the pops that the young bucks who probably haven't really fought in Connecticut in years would get, But they just had them all walk down to the ring, and that was really it.
You see, on TV, when the show started, they were just all in the ring. So I had figured, they all got their entrances for the crowd there in the show.
I was so mad because I was thinking that too. I'm like, they're probably not going to show everybody's entrances on TV, but they'll probably, you. Also, what I didn't like too, and this is another little behind the scenes type thing going there. I didn't like, so the commentators are by the stage, and I didn't like how they didn't have an entrance for the commentators either. The only person that got an entrance is Jim Ross. When you have guys like Taz, The Big Show, Paul White, Mark Henry. You can do entrances for those guys. They're all just I was like, and over there we have Taz, and you already can't see Taz as it is, and you just are supposed to see the hand. And so
Right.
I felt like they could have done a bit more entrances with that because, those are big names like Paul White, Mark Henry, Taz. Jim Ross is a big deal because he's a commentator, but to be quite honest with you, Jim Ross is a fucking asshole from what I've heard backstage. And I'd rather have, not for nothing, I've heard that Jim Ross makes comments to wrestlers who put on weight, and it's like, buddy, have you fucking looked in the mirror? I understand you're not a professional athlete, but fucking maybe hire someone who looks the part to be telling people what to do.
Yeah, and
Anyway,
I've always been a big Jim Ross fan, but I do think, and even now, I think he's kind of a step behind because he's forgetting names and
oh,
he's
terrible.
getting rough.
Terrible. He is Jim Ross. To know him, you have to love him. He's a lovable, funny person, and
Yeah, and in those big moments, man, he does make them a little bit
yeah.
better,
But it's just now it's almost kind of like Michael Cole. You have the two grandpas. All right, great. Can we get some
Can
new?
we move on?
This is AEW we're talking about, but fucking Michael Coleman, I saw him on SmackDown, and all he has is gray hair. It's like, buddy, dye your hair at least. You look like your father time.
Yeah.
So I didn't like how the teams didn't get entrances. Some of the notes that I have about this match, we were all really against the Gun Club. We kept calling them assholes. And that was great for the Gun Clubs to interact with that and sort of, play along into that.
Yeah, because they've been kind of doing that for a while on Dark, with the ass boys thing and all that.
We were going assholes, and I thought it was ass boys too, and so I was like, okay, I'll just go along, assholes, let's go.
Either one kind of honestly works,
right? So that was cool. I was confused because what I didn't realize with AEW Battle Royals was I thought that once one member of the team gets eliminated, that whole team is gone.
No.
But no, there's still the other member left to fight.
I like that.
Yeah, that's interesting. But the only takeaway is, I go back and forth because I kind of like it because, yes, survival, whatever. But then the only other thing is normally they wouldn't be in this type of situation because they would just be, then I guess dude, I don't know. I'm just going to rock.
Well, and you know what else is fucking weird too? Because, they're going to do another Battle Royal this Wednesday with the same teams in it, I think.
Yeah, Casino Battle Royal, and we'll have probably
So what was the point? Maybe they should have done one member from each team do it this one, and then have the other member from each team do that one. I don't know. I can see where you're coming from though, but also I like it because if one person of the team gets eliminated and the other person is just kind of beating some guy up, why should he have to leave too?
True. Yeah, that's true. I just think for me, I was just a little confused because I was like, also too, what I noticed too was they were very focused on the camera, which I know they have to. But I feel like because I wasn't in that area, we weren't getting much attention. You know what I'm saying? If you were, I like sitting where the hard camera is because you see them, you see their faces, you see what they're doing, you see. So for me, it was when Santana did the funny little thing behind. I don't know.
It's all for the hard cam all the time. I see what you're saying.
We saw that, and it was cool, but even for example, there was a Dark episode before us, and Lance Hoyt fought, and the end, we're chanting for him, but his face is in that camera on the turnbuckle, and we're like, "Hi, we're here too," That was the
right
that I felt was a little, but it was just a little disconnect because I understand they need to record for the show, but I did notice with WWE is I felt they do a bit more of playing to the audience too. I felt.
Yes, I can see that.
In the promos, AEW does really good playing to the audience. But I think during the matches, they're just like, watch what we do. They're not so much like feeding off of us, I feel like, some of them. But anyways, the end came, and it came down to, I think it was Kyle O'Reilly and which young buck was left? I think was it Matt?
It was Matt Jackson, Kyle O'Reilly, John Silver, and Dax Hardwood.
Yep, and then
Young Bucks, Red Dragon, Dark Order, and FTR.
By the way, poor Dax Harwood. He also went on a Renee Paquette's.
I had heard,
Yeah, he went through a lot with bulimia and all kinds of different things. So watch that on YouTube. But I like FTR's theme song, and I was really excited to get into it. That was another reason I was mad. I was going to like jam out, and I couldn't. But I was sad to see this FTR didn't make it to the end. My dream ending teams, just because I'm basic, would have been FTR and Red Dragon. But I understand they want to push the Young Bucks and Red Dragon feud, so I get that. So basically, they toss out Dax Harwood, and then Kyle and Matt pretend to work together. They seem to work together. They get rid of Silver, and then that's when Kyle eliminates Matt. And then the Red Dragon at the win. I'm correct, right, Nick?
Yeah. So what happened was, real quick.
Totally. Go ahead.
So what I think is, I feel like FTR is still doing that thing with the Briscoes at some point, because at Final Battle for Ring of Honor, FTR came out and surprised the Briscoes with an attack. So we've been waiting for this match since December, okay? So now they're hyping up for Ring of Honor Supercard in April that the Briscoes are facing a questionable tag team. That's WrestleMania weekend. I feel like FTR is not doing anything right now in AEW just because they're going to be involved with that possibly.
Okay.
So I think like you said, their main focus is going to be Jackson and the Young Bucks and Red Dragon.
Yep.
And you were correct. O'Reilly betrayed Jackson because Jackson was like, "Oh, help me, I can't get him up," or Kyle O'Reilly was like, "Help, I can't get him eliminated on my own," and Jackson went to help him, and O'Reilly just tossed them both out.
Yeah. So my question for you is, do you think Red Dragon was the right team to win the Battle Royal?
Yeah, honestly, because like I said, I think FTR's got other prior engagements. The Best Friends aren't really doing much. The only other team I think could have really benefited from this was Santana and Ortiz.
Okay.
Because they beat Jericho last week in their tag match against him and Hager. And the announcers were really like, they got the win over Jericho. They can establish themselves on their own now. And then they just lose the Battle Royal this week. Kind of feels like that falls flat. I feel like you could have done Red Dragon and the Young Bucks storyline without them having to win or be the last in, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But I think Red Dragon's a good choice because, like, I want to see them face the Young Bucks eventually for the titles. And I'm not huge on Jurassic Express being the tag champs right now either. So I feel like we need to get the belts off them, maybe onto Red Dragon or the Young Bucks again.
I like Jungle Boy's theme song, but aside from that,
yeah, and I think he's a little overrated, personally.
Yeah, I have to really pay more attention to him, I guess. But after the match, the Young Bucks start to argue with Red Dragon. But before things take off, AEW champion Kenny Omega oh my God, where the fuck have I been 6 months?
Hey, it's okay, man, because honestly, Hangman Page doesn't feel like the world champion right now.
I'm sorry. Oh my God, well that just shows you what I think of Hangman Adam Page.
Well, yeah, and honestly, you're not the only one, man, because I feel like he's kind of lost steam going into this year with this feud with Omega that they went into, and I feel like they should have changed it. Something should have changed, and Tony Khan just said, this was the plan 2 years ago, so I'm sticking to it.
Yeah, that guy, Hangman Adam Page, comes out to the ring, and he attacks Red Dragon, And then Adam Cole runs in and tries to super kick him, but Paige grabs Adam Cole's foot, and he goes to do the buckshot lariat, but Red Dragon pulls Cole out of the ring,
yeah.
and then John Silver nails like a cannonball to Red Dragon and Adam Cole outside. And then Adam Page says he was ready for story time with Adam Page, baby, and then he sits down. And he talks about Adam Cole's career in 2008. He called him a smug, overconfident little prick. He says Adam Cole became a world champion everywhere he went, but as he could see the writing of the wall and his world crumbling around him, Adam Cole clambered back to AEW so he could become AEW world champion. But he says, I mean, and this promo was kind of cringy. He says Adam Cole is getting himself closer to a 6-foot grave, one that the better Adam will put him in at Revolution. He says the whole world will hear one sound, Cole's body hitting the dirt from a freshly cocked buckshot lariat. That sound is boom. For world champion, this promo didn't really live up to anything.
Yeah, man, I was like, what is he talking about?
This is going to be a good match, but the build up to it is not good at all.
Very lackluster, man. And like I had said before we started recording, does anybody really believe Adam Cole's beating Adam Page for the world title?
No, and but also the other problem too is I hate when they say, okay, it's time for story time, and they don't deliver. It's like, why are you doing that? Like, you're like, even Cody Rhodes, I'm going to say something that has never been said before. It's like, you didn't say anything. Like, these people that are supposed to be dropping bombs, it's like, what bomb was there?
Right.
But I mean, I get he wants to, play on the fact that both of their names are Adam, but there has to be some sort of other underlying issue. I know Cole tries to attack from behind a lot, but that can't be the only real reason why Adam Page is angry at Cole. There has to be a better lead up to it, in my opinion.
Well, and like when Adam Cole first came in on BTE, I don't know if you watch it or not, being the Elite on YouTube, like he came in asking about Hangman Page and where's Page and where's Hangman, and we want to reconcile and stuff, and like you could have been building that this whole time.
No.
And it just seems like they're mad at each other for no reason, but Adam Cole isn't that mad at Adam Page, but Page is ticked off at Cole for what? For why?
Yeah. And that's normally shit that WWE does. You're always left wondering, like, why are these two fighting? I think, and that's one of the problems I will say with AEW that I do have is a lot of this type of stuff happens on YouTube and then it's not talked about on the show. So there's all these things that are going on that are like really popular. Like Danhausen is hysterical. He was seen like once on TV and then that's it really. But then they have clips of him on the before Dynamite, whatever type of show thing they have. And just like, unless you watch that stuff, you're not going to know about some of these characters and the people. And that's hard if you want them to become stars, if they're only known on YouTube.
Absolutely. And like, for me, I do watch all the stuff on YouTube, but even then, some of that stuff, I'm like, why is this happening on YouTube alone?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I could totally understand your point.
But I do think they need to add something to the rivalry. Do something so that it doesn't look like Adam Page is just mad to be mad. There's really no reason for him.
Yeah, it seems kind of pointless. And like I said, man, even with Lance Archer versus Page a few weeks ago, he was kicking the hell out of Page for weeks before that match. I actually kind of thought maybe Page could lose the title. You know, maybe not 100%, but the way he was beaten down towards the match, it made him look strong.
Yeah.
Adam Cole beating a couple members of Dark Order that mean nothing, and beating jobbers and not beating top talent like Orange Cassidy per se.
Yeah.
Doesn't make him look as strong either. I think they're pulling the trigger, pun intended, on this way too early.
100%, 100.
Just because they don't have anybody else for Paige to face, that's not our fault that you're just rushing this storyline.
Yeah, it does seem very rushed. I was surprised that they even are having the two of them fight this early on because, like we both said, there was really no issue.
Yeah,
But
and they did a 2-year damn storyline with Paige and Omega that was such a thinly veiled line after a year and a half. There was almost no correlation between them just because Dark Order was there.
yeah,
So I don't know. It feels like we've said 100 times already. It feels kind of pointless.
and that's their main event. So, but there nonetheless will be a good match. Moving on, MJF comes down to the ring. This was a little hard to take in, and I'll tell you why.
Yeah, go ahead.
So from where I was sitting, it was hard to see. It wasn't hard to see, but we'll get there in a minute. So MJF comes out. We're all chanting for CM Punk. On camera, he looks upset, but from my vantage point, you couldn't see his face because the camera was right in his face, following him down. So I didn't see him looking upset coming down to the ring. The camera did show him, like when I watched it on TV later and saw him like look very serious. I didn't know that when he came down because we just saw the camera in his face and him just walking.
Yeah.
He says that, he gets it. It's easy to boo him and chant for CM Punk, but he wants us to hear his story. It's easy for us to assume that MJF was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. The truth is, the only reason MJF got out of bed every morning was because of his love for pro wrestling. MJF says that the day he met CM Punk meant everything to him. It wasn't just another Friday for MJF. He talks about 2007. He mentions that he had severe learning disabilities like ADD, but he was really good at football. And he says he was one of 2 Jewish kids who tried out for the school football team, and MJF felt like he fit in because the coach started him at middle linebacker. However, one day, the teammates, they held rolls of quarters in their hands. They threw the quarters as hard as possible at MJF, yelling at him to pick up the quarters.
Why would they throw quarters if they're in a roll of quarters? They're just individually unwrapping all these quarters and throwing them individually at him.
I thought, like, when
I feel like if
ahead.
they were to use them, wouldn't they use them in like their knuckles like a normal person?
That's what I was saying, or they were gonna like maybe like put them in like a sock and like hit.
Yeah, they just individually threw quarters at you, yelling "Jew boy." I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really believe it when he was saying it.
He goes home to cry, but he stopped when he realized that it was Friday and it was time for him to meet his hero, CM Punk. It was a day that meant the whole world to him. Which led MJF to promise himself that one day he's going to be just like CM Punk and be the best in the world. Fast forward to December 2013, he's gotten stronger, faster, a bunch of football scholarships, but that didn't matter. He was determined to become just like CM Punk. He was studying tapes until his eyes bled and practicing promos, all to be just like CM Punk. And then this is a direct quote. He says, January 2014, you leave me. When I needed you most, when I believed in you, you left me. You left all of us. MJF says that when he realized if Punk couldn't do it, why could some dumb 5'0", 88-year-old Jew boy? So he buried.
I think he was playing the Jew boy card a little much here.
Yeah, and it's awkward because you know the history and the extermination of the Jews, so it's like when that's being in a promo, you're kind of like, what do you do? Because you don't.
Yeah, and my big thing here is like, why are we giving him anything to be sympathetic about?
And we'll get there because I have a question about that. So then he says he went to college like a good little boy instead. He buried his dreams deep down until one day he saw a picture of CM Punk shaking hands with Bryan Danielson. This is where it gets a little murky and weird.
Great photo, though.
He goes, MJF says, seeing this image made me upset. which led MJF to promise that he was going to become the best in the world in spite of CM Punk. He made a promise that whatever outcasted kid at school was getting bullied, he would not leave them high and dry like that gutless coward Punk. He then mentions the Wrestling Classic as a source of his, to deal with the stress and everything he was going through to help him. MJF says that no matter how much Punk makes him bleed at Revolution, he's not going to quit like Punk did because his name was Maxwell Jacob Friedman, and he's better than you, and you know it. So CM Punk then walks down to the ring. Now, again, from my vantage point, we don't see nothing. So all we are seeing is fucking CM Punk and MJF just looking at each other. And I'm like, are they going to say anything? Are they going to fight? Again, the cameras are not, they're just focusing to the cameras. So I didn't see CM Punk say to him, is it true? I had to wait till I saw it on TV. Because when we were there,
we're like, kind of left sitting there.
Yeah, and so I'm like, so it wasn't as, we were just kind of like, well, what does this mean? You know? And then also,
how did the rest of the crowd react?
Well, we all were cheering for CM Punk, and Tony Schiavone made a comment too. He was like, well, these fans are booing him, but we feel so very, they're trying to make us feel sorry for MJF, but in the arena, we didn't know what we were supposed to feel because we didn't see CM Punk look confused and say, is this how you really feel? So we're just left thinking like, oh, CM Punk came out here and is calling MJF's bullshit, and that's it. But no, he came out and he asked MJF, is this true? And then MJF just walks off with a single tear. So
and honestly, I think the whole time he was cutting that promo, he was looking into the camera a little too much.
And then the one thing that I didn't understand was what got him upset about seeing the picture of CM Punk and Bryan Danielson. That's what I didn't understand. Why was he upset with that?
Because that's an old picture, if I'm not, and I don't know which one he's talking about. Is it the one from them in Ring of Honor from 2003?
No, it's the one.
Why would that one affect him?
No, I think I could be wrong, but I thought it was the one from like 2014 or something. I thought it was like a more recent one, which there's still no bearing as to why he's upset about.
Right. Well, he's upset because he left, even though CM Punk has said multiple times he was in his worst state of being when he was there and around the time he left, and that if he wouldn't have left, he felt like he would have died because he was so injured or mentally exhausted. So, and then when he came back, he apologized for everything he did, and he said, if anything I did affected you in person, I apologize. I don't know what else MJF could want from him at this point.
Yeah. Well, I think maybe they're going to play into that a little bit of, well, CM Punk went through his own sort of depression. CM Punk might, feel sorry. But my question is this promo by MJF supposed to make us think he's turning babyface, or is this all just a fucking ruse to get into CM Punk's head and get the better of him?
That's my thing. That's my thing. Like, I don't know, man. When this was first happening, I looked over at my wife and I'm like, why are they giving him anything to be sympathetic about? He's the top heel in your company right now. Why would you give him anything for us to be like, oh, he's turning. He's going to be a good guy. Let's start booing CM Punk. And that was kind of the story that it seems like they were trying to tell on TV, like you said.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you guys were booing because you guys didn't know what the hell was going on.
It was just, but not only that, but like you said, he's been a heel. A heel doesn't come out one week. It's like, I'm just going to start to be honest with you guys about how I feel.
Exactly. And I know that like really bad guys have really sad shit happen to them. It's like any villain. You know what I mean? A lot of people have had villain kind of storylines. Yeah. Like Joker fell into a vat of acid, or whatever, bad stuff happens. Yeah. But just because that stuff happens to you doesn't give you a reason to be a jerk to everybody else. And just because you said you were going to help kids in high school doesn't mean you did. Because every time we've seen you in wrestling, you've been an absolute ass.
And that's the other issue too, is that this whole like wanting sympathy from the fans is a complete departure from his whole entire gimmick. His whole gimmick, I am better than you and you know it. why would he want our sympathy? He doesn't like us. He's better. He thinks he's better than us. Why do you want us to feel bad for you? He wouldn't.
Yeah.
MJF doesn't like. A lot of people compare him to the Miz, and they're. It seems like they're friends and they have a good relationship outside of the ring. But you're never gonna see the Miz be like, oh, you know, like, and so that's the only thing.
Unless he's babyface.
Yes, exactly. But we don't know what he, right now he hasn't been that. The past 2 weeks he's been coming out being carried. He's, you know, and now
Yeah, he's on a fucking throne a week and a half ago.
and now it's I'm sad I was a Jew boy getting quarters thrown at me. I'm gonna have a single tear go down my. I honestly think this is just a ruse to get CM Punk. I think because if
But
they really, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like you said, I don't know why they would even do this. To drop CM Punk's guard down so he could get beat again? I don't think that's the best option.
Yeah. And I feel like CM Punk also, what I didn't like about it was I felt like they could have utilized him a bit more, especially being in Connecticut. You know, I thought it would have been a big FU to WWE to have CM Punk come out and, like, do, you know, not, like, do anything big, but just, like, you know, like, I'm not coming to work for you, but I'll come to Connecticut, you know?
Right.
But, you know, he didn't have a microphone. You couldn't see his lips moving when he's talking to MJF. So you were just very confused as to, well, this is all we're getting from him coming out and looking at MJF. And then he leaves. And he didn't know which, like, way to leave. So he got confused, and then he went the right way. But that was literally it. And then we were just like, oh, okay. Bye, CM Punk. It was good to see you. And I kind of felt bad because there's a lot of people in the audience with CM Punk shirts. I'm saying to myself, like, even Austin. Like, Austin would come out for maybe, like, 2 minutes, but, like, at least he talked to you. At least he was doing something like giving stunners to people, you know?
Yeah.
But, you know, I get this is their development, so we'll have to wait and see what happens next. Up next, so we have the tag match, the Kings of the Black Throne, Malachi Black and Brody King, taking on the Bastard Pac and Penta. Is this, what was it, Oscuro? I don't know how to pronounce it. Oscuro. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to tell you about this entrance.
Okay.
It was hard to see what was happening. Fucking, the manager looked like he was just wearing a cape, and he had this weird... He had the fucking, what's that fucking, the shovel. I'm trying to think of what it was. He had the shovel. He looked kind of like Dracula to me, to be honest. The manager, it was odd. Also, you know how he wrote, the part of him rising up was kind of cool, but the tombstone, literally, like, after he made his entrance, you just saw, so I thought it was heavy. Some dude just picked it up like it was nothing and walked to the back. So you're just like, oh, so that sort of ruins the mystique of that a little bit. But again, it was off for the cameras, so it was hard to see certain things because here's Penta, and you can see Penta, but right in front of Penta is the fucking dude wearing all black, to say the camera guy, and you can't see nothing.
Yeah.
And so it's like, you're like, okay, well, you know, I could watch this at home, but I did like seeing House of Black. It was a good match. A lot of stuff was happening. Penta ended up getting the victory after a roll-up on, I think it was it Malachi that he pinned?
Yes.
Okay, and so then after the match, they get pissed, and Brody attacks Pac and Penta. And then Malachi, he drinks water. So during the match, and again, we didn't see this part either. During the match, I guess Malachi is getting ready to get the mist, but then someone kicks him, and then he swallows it. So what we're seeing is him, like, freak out and, like, needing a drink, and we're like, what happened? We were just like, wait, is he okay? Like, we were so confused. Like, we thought, me and the buddy that was sitting next to me, we were like, oh, he's getting ready to get the mist because he took a drink. So we're thinking that in the water was the mist. But no, I guess he already drank the mist and he got hit. And so he drinks the water, and he prepares to He pushes the manager, he grabs a shovel, and he puts the shovel on Penta's neck. The lights go out, and Buddy Matthews is in the ring. And the fans, we all go crazy. Malachi looks nervous. Buddy stares down Malachi for a bit, but then he goes right after Pac and Penta. They all beat up. Well, Brody King beat the shit out of security, and that was cool.
Oh my God, Brody King is a massive man.
He fucking beat the shit out of them. And then Malachi Black orders Matthews to finish Penta off, and that's what he does. Buddy ends up stomping Penta's head into the chair, and House of Black goes away. So first, what did you think of the match? And my question is, what are your thoughts on Buddy joining the House of Black?
So, a couple things here. At home, the only thing different about Penta Oscuro was his entrance.
Yeah.
He had nothing different about him in the match. He did all the same stuff. I think him just covering Malachi's mouth and then pinning him with a roll-up is the dumbest thing you could do. I get you don't want to pin and pin and beat an debuting character, I should say.
Yeah.
But I don't think Black should be eating just meaningless pinfalls in these tag team matches that don't really mean anything, serving to a larger story at some point in the future.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, maybe Buddy could have just gotten involved. AEW doesn't really do many DQs. Why couldn't Buddy just get involved in the match and do this in the middle of the match and then just attack Penta and then get DQ'd? We can do that match at Revolution.
That would be interesting if they did that. Yeah, no, I agree with you. Like, from my vantage point there was no difference. He was just the entrance, and that was it. And again, the whole mystique was blown when you see the tech crew guy just come and lift up the fucking tombstone like it's made of plastic. Like, literally, I thought it was going to need two people. He straight up just picked it up and left. And I was like, oh, okay. But what do you think of Buddy joining House of Black?
Oh, I think it's a good choice because I think there's a larger story at play here with Buddy and Malachi, and I think they're going to use their feud in WWE as well, just like who they do it with recently, Kyle O'Reilly and Adam Cole. They didn't really say it, but they referenced it, and they could do that here with Buddy and Malachi. And I think, Buddy's a good disciple. He did it with Seth Rollins for a while. I think he can do the bidding for Malachi for a while, but I think eventually he's going to get tired of doing all this bidding for these two guys. And I feel like there's going to be a big blow-off match. But for now, this is a great way to get Buddy introduced to a lot of the AEW crowd. And I think it'll be a good way to keep him on TV and keep him relevant until they want to do something with him.
Okay. All right.
Because I think he is the best kept secret, honestly. He's one of the best wrestlers I've seen in a long time. I literally bought the New Japan Battle in the Valley pay-per-view just because he was facing Kazuchika Okada.
Yeah, Buddy Matthews is a good wrestler, 100%. I'm excited to see if he brings that stuff that he does there to AEW, which I'm sure he
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to do one more segment and we're going to take a quick break. This was probably the moment of the night for me. Eddie Kingston comes down to the ring. He's going to have his face-to-face encounter with Chris Jericho. There's 4 security guards standing in the ring. Again, the mystique was broken for me because there was a ring attendant and he was literally telling them how to stand.
Really?
Yeah, they were in position and the guy was so they were standing a little bit away from the rope and he was hitting the mat to get their attention. They turned around and he was signaling, moving, telling them move over here, move up. And I'm just what the fuck? Know what you're doing before you're in front of the people, man.
Right.
I mean, we don't see it, but okay. So the security's there. That's why it was funny with Eddie Kingston making fun of them because it's just they're a fucking joke. They're being told how to stand.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So then Chris Jericho comes down, and of course we all were singing Judas. And
how was that? Did you enjoy that?
Fun. That was fun. We all went hard. It was fun. He was smiling at Chris Jericho too, which I always love when he fucking smiles because you can tell he's like, yeah, they like my song.
Oh yeah, and it just feeds his ego
Oh
to no
yeah, he
end.
smiles the shit out of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So Eddie Kingston says, "Okay, we done now? Are we done massaging your ego with that song? Are we done?"
Yeah, like literally what I just fucking said.
Yeah, there you go. He asked Chris, "What's the deal with security?" And Jericho says, "The security is there to ensure that he and Eddie talk like men and not settle things like common street thugs." And Eddie starts to laugh.
Oh.
Eddie says he has no idea why they're doing this. He's no sports entertainer. He just wants to fight. But since Eddie knows Jericho won't fight him now, Eddie has asked for Tony Khan to send for Chris Statlander for Willow Nightingale, so we'll have women wrestling instead.
I mean, I'd be for that.
Eddie says he and Jericho can fight, or Chris can go down the road so he can be in a sports entertainment company, which obviously is a reference to WWE. And we were all like, ooh, like we all were playing into that. Chris says that if they were indeed just down the road from that, they are indeed down the road from Stanford. So maybe he will give Eddie a bit of sports entertainment, except it'll be actually entertaining. Oh, right. Jericho says he'll tell everyone a story about Eddie Kingston. Jericho says that while everyone was excited that Eddie was coming to AEW, Jericho didn't share that same excitement because he thought people were talking about Eddie Edwards. He didn't know Eddie Kingston, and once he saw Eddie, he thought he was a jobber. Jericho says he saw Eddie's match against what's his name? Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Yep, and he meant Cody Rhodes there. And he says that he heard his promo. That's when Jericho realized, that's when he knew Eddie how it takes to be a star in AEW and that people would love him as a babyface. And Jericho was right about that. That's what Chris says. And then he goes, what's a babyface? He talks about how it's a feel-good.
That was funny.
Yeah. Jericho says it was a feel-good story of busting his ass in the indies, overcoming physical and mental issues, to finally sign a contract with AEW, making it to the big time at the age of 38 years old. Which everyone's like, oh shit. Jericho says that he didn't give two shits about Eddie's sob story. That's because he realized that Eddie was jealous of Chris Jericho. Jericho talks about how he made it to the show at age 22, and by the time he reached Eddie's age, he was a big-time star in wrestling. Well, here's what Eddie has to say, quote, well, first off, Christopher, you talk about this main event stuff. You want a cookie for that? Guess who doesn't care? And he says the reason that Jericho was able to achieve so much was that he wasn't there, meaning Eddie wasn't there to fight Jericho. Eddie says that he's a different sort of cat, not a carny, and he does things his way, and that he'll be himself until he dies. And he says he doesn't want to talk to Jericho because he's sucking the blood out of him, and that his blood doesn't pump Kool-Aid. And basically, long and short of it, Eddie wants to fight Chris Jericho at Revolution. And Jericho asks Eddie if he's heard of achievophobia, and Kingston goes, no, I got a GED. And so then Jericho says it means the fear of success, and that fits Eddie to a T. Jericho claims that Eddie is terrified of making it to the top like he has because he'd fall off once he got to the top instantly. He talks about Eddie's family history, mentioning that his uncle, father, and Eddie himself are all failures. Jericho says that Eddie's problem is that he can't win the big one, and that Jericho is the big one of AEW. He accepts Kingston's challenge at Revolution, saying that if Eddie wins, he'll look Eddie in the eye and shake his hand, because that's the sign that Eddie has gotten over his ultimate fear of success. Eddie laughs and says he doesn't want the Mimosa Jericho, the Jericho who got pushed off the cage by MJF. He wants the one who is AEW's first world champion, the Jericho who bled buckets in Tennessee, the one who got respect from Genichiro Tenryu over at WAR, the one that turned WCW upside down, the Jericho that his close friend Levesque is nervous of, because if he doesn't, Eddie will eat Jericho alive. Jericho says Kingston is nothing more but a loser who will never win the big one, and he'll prove that to everyone at Revolution. So, wow, that's a mouthful. A lot there to unpack. Yeah. But basically, these two are just on a collision course, both attacking each other, throwing low blows. One of them is going to be better than the other. Whose side are you on? Are you more rooting for Chris Jericho or Eddie Kingston?
I'm all for Eddie Kingston, man. I think he's growing to be one of the bigger stars in AEW. I remember when he came back a couple weeks ago, he got quite the big pop.
Yep.
And did he get an entrance or anything for you guys there live?
Yeah, he did. He got an entrance. We went hard.
And did it get a good reaction to there too?
Oh yeah, we went. Oh yeah.
Well, that's good. So yeah, I think he needs to beat Chris Jericho at Revolution. Like, not easy, but I think I don't know. I think Chris Jericho should be on the way out. I'm getting very tired of his stuff. And it seems like he's just latching on to the most popular person at that time. Look back and see, like, MJF, even now, Eddie Kingston, Darby Allin, all of them at the time. So I think Kingston should win. I don't know. I feel like for some reason they're going to do multiple matches. I feel like this isn't going to just be a one-match thing.
Yeah.
But we'll see. I'm on Eddie Kingston's side, though, for sure, because Chris Jericho likes to take credit for everything.
Yeah, Jericho definitely. But I will say that was just such a what I like about it is the history there. Jericho has so much history. He's done so much. Eddie Kingston, you can just tell, is a kick-ass wrestler. They're just gonna have a good match. So I'm excited for this one. But we're going to take a short break. Stay with us. When we come back, we're going to be talking about the qualifier for the Face of the Revolution ladder match, the TBS Championship on the line, Jade Cargill against the Bunny, and Bryan Danielson taking on Daniel Garcia in the main event, with some implications for Revolution after the match. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Welcome back. Yes, definitely check out. I sound like I'm friggin' from like the South or something, or like I don't know. I'm totally like fucking up today, but at least it's the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. So I mean, what else do you expect?
Yeah.
So check us out on Anchor and make your own podcast on Anchor.fm. It's free, and it's also a tool that you can use to distribute, edit, and do anything you want to have your podcast out there. If you want to be like the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast, check out Anchor.fm. Also, check us out streaming wherever podcasts are available, including Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Amazon Music, and much more. Make sure you give us a 5-star rating to show that you care. Also, we are on YouTube. Check out the Uncensored Pro Wrestling Podcast. Give us a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell to stay notified when new content is created. Leave a comment. Let us know what your thoughts are on this week's AEW Dynamite episode, or check out the archives and see what's in it for you. A lot of good stuff coming your way. But
since we're plugging stuff real quick,
yes,
I can attest to the whole Anchor thing. I've been using that for my podcast as well. Feel free to check me out at Heel to Face Podcast on Spotify, and I will eventually be trying to get that up on YouTube as well.
Yes. Heel to Face. Check that out too. 100%. Yeah, Anchor is so easy to use, and that's just what I go.
Oh, it's really great. It's awesome.
100%. Well, speaking of awesome, there is when I'm reading in like sort of like I have a little like sort of cheat thing here, and it says that after that segment there was a backstage segment, which I did see, but they didn't show these to us until after Dynamite went off the air. So
what was the backstage segment?
It was AHFO, and they're talking to Andrade, and they basically say, that they said that they wanted to fight Sting, Sammy Guevara, and Darby Allin in a Tornado Trios match at Revolution. Yeah. But something to remember, after some of the fans were leaving, like including me, I left, but I waited to leave a little bit. When that was being shown, it was hard to hear what was really going on because people were leaving. So when I just read in there that popped up, I was like, wow, I thought that was just a way to get us fans to get into Rampage because they showed it right before Rampage. So I was like, oh, okay. But, all right. So next we have the qualifier for the Face of the Revolution ladder match. Absolute Ricky Starks, the FTW champion. He comes down with Hobbs, and he is taking on, isn't it, Dark Order's 10, Preston Vance.
Yep.
And basically, to be honest, a lot of people weren't really into this one. I don't
I
know.
wasn't either.
I don't know why. I just felt bad though because the crowd was dead, and it's nothing against Ricky Starks. I think he has a likability. I just feel like Dark Order. I like them, but it's getting kind of stale now. Like, what is their purpose? Like, why are they like? What is their goal? Like, I get
Right. And
you
like my
kind of,
whole thing was
but
I thought they were putting all big men in this ladder match, because they got Wardlow, Keith Lee, Powerhouse Hobbs,
yeah,
and I was figuring, Ted's got to get involved in this, right? No.
yep, yeah.
So what's the point of it?
Exactly. I feel like it's weird. But Ricky Starks ended up getting the win after a spear, after he bounced off the ropes with a spear. And, it wasn't great, but it wasn't terrible. My question for you is, do you think Starks can win it all during the Face of the Revolution ladder match, or do you think he's just an extra person in the match?
I think he's just an extra person in the match. I don't think Ricky Starks really has anything going for him right now. I think FCW World Title on him is feeling kind of bland too.
Yeah. There's not really anyone to challenge for it. And,
I don't
yeah,
know. And like speaking of Team Taz and FTW, like Brian Cage just re-signed a new contract. Where the hell's he been?
maybe he'll surprise everyone and show up and like fuck over Ricky Starks.
That'd be cool because he would have been a great person to add to that ladder match.
Yep. Well, here's another segment that happened right before Rampage. We see Red Dragon celebrating their win, and the Young Bucks come up and they yell at them, and basically they're more motivated to kicking Fish and O'Reilly's ass next week when they enter the Casino Tag Team Battle Royal. Adam Cole comes up and he basically yells at the two teams saying, "We have to get along. I have a lot on my plate I'm fighting for the AEW title. We need to get on the same page." And that was that. Next, we have the TBS Championship on the line. The TBS champion, Jade Cargill, taking on the Bunny. The Bunny didn't get an entrance either. She just walked into the ring and she had on her little bunny hat mask thing, and that was it. There was no. She just walked into the ring. And you're like, oh, okay, well, so we're supposed to care.
Right.
It was a decent match. A lot of the fans again weren't really into it, but I will tell you, fucking the Bunny put up a hell of a fight. Like she wasn't just going down easily. However, Matt Hardy and Mark Sterling were arguing. The Bunny goes to hit Jade with the brat. Was it the what was
Brass
it?
knuckles.
Brass knuckles? Yeah, and then Jade used the title to block it, and then Cargill ends up nailing Jaded. That's what it's called, the Jaded Bomb or something.
Yeah, Bunny went for she rolled up Jade Cargill for a 2 count and then hit a really nice looking super kick that actually
Yep.
sounded like on TV, got the crowd kind of excited. That super kick sounded really good.
It was a lot. It was good because, like I said, she wasn't just like it wasn't just okay TBS title match. Like it seemed like the Bunny wanted to put on a good match.
Yeah, and then eventually Bunny went for the down the rabbit hole, and Cargill countered with the Jaded for the win.
Yeah, a weird name. So after the match, Jade gets on the mic and she brags about her undefeated streak, and she said her undefeated streak, and she's like, who's next for me to beat? Better yet, who's left? And that's when Tay Conti comes out, and I was surprised to see her because I'm kind of like, yeah, she really stands a chance.
Yeah, come on. Can we get rid of these nothing challengers for her?
Yeah. Jade said, or not, Tay says, "I'm not just next. I'm the one who's gonna beat your ass, bitch." And then Jade runs.
Of course, she drops the bitch line.
Yeah, and then Bunny attempts to attack, but she gets taken out by Tay KO by Conti. And then Jade nails a pump kick and grabs the TBS title. And then Anna Jay runs out, and it seems like she wants a piece of Jade too. So my question is, out of Tay Conti or Anna Jay, who do you think deserves a title shot more against Jade Cargill?
Neither, because Jade Cargill already beat Anna Jay once. So I thought that was kind of pointless why she came out. I mean, I know that her and like Taekwondo are friends, but it's kind of pointless that she came out because even when like she left, Jade looked at the camera and like pointed to Anna Jay and said, "I already beat her. Why is she out here?"
Oh, so yeah, we didn't see that. We just saw.
So
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I don't know. Tai Conti has pretty sure she's had a shot at this title before, if I'm not mistaken, or she was in the tournament for it and she lost then. She
Yeah.
hasn't had a match on TV in weeks. Why do I think she could beat Jade Cargill,
That
who's
home
almost
wrecker.
30-0?
She's a straight up home wrecker.
Yeah, seriously, how about that?
I love that. Okay, all right. So moving on, we're at our main event. Bryan Danielson taking on Daniel Garcia. I went
Good
hard.
match. Good
Yeah, they had a
match.
really good match. And Daniel Garcia, a lot of people are like, who's he? And I sort of just saw him when he was working with 2.0 on like their YouTube channel, so I know a little bit of him. But they had a really good match. I mean, Bryan Danielson was like fucking him up, and fans are chanting "kick his head off" like they are like getting into it.
Yeah.
And it was a great match. Danielson ends up stomping Garcia's head, and then he applies a triangle choke, and the referee stops the match, so I don't think Garcia tapped out or anything. Then after the match, Bryan says that Garcia showed exactly what he liked to see. He asked the crowd if Garcia was violent enough, but then he gets attacked by, what? Who? Oh, I was like, who the fuck? I'm so twisted. I thought I saw a Z. It's 2.0. Matt Lee and
Yes.
Jeff Parker of 2.0 attack him. They beat down Bryan Danielson until Jon Moxley runs down, which I was excited
Hmm.
because
He
he was.
decided to take the long way to help.
Yes, and also what was cool was he was right over where we were. I'll send you videos that I have, but he was pretty much like where we were. Um,
Yeah.
so I lost my cool. We all were like freaking out. He takes out 2.0, and then he ends up nailing what the heck, Daniel Garcia with a red death. Or wait, what? Wait, what the hell? What's red death? Is
Red
that
Death
what?
is Garcia's nickname.
Oh, I'm like, who the fuck is red?
So what happened was that, like you said, 2.0 attacked Danielson. Moxley made the save. Eventually, they just chased them off. They just kind of left. Garcia tried using the steel chair, but Danielson stopped them and then hit him with a paradigm shift.
Okay, all right, okay, yep.
So then, like you said, yeah, after the match, they made a nice challenge, man. I'm hyped for this match.
Yeah, exactly. After the match, Bryan takes the mic and he says, um, so in order for us to fight together, we need to bleed together. And then Bryan throws down a chair and he says, I don't need that to make anyone bleed. He accepts Jon Moxley's challenge. And he says that don't be surprised if Mox is the only one who ends up bleeding. What are your
Yes.
thoughts on the match, and do you think Jon will be the only one who bleeds?
I really liked this match. I thought the mat wrestling in the beginning was fantastic. There was a spot here where Garcia was trying to get Danielson into a tiger suplex, but excuse me, Danielson even reversed it and then got him into the tiger suplex and then right into the cattle mutilation, which I thought that was amazing. So smooth. And then the way they were transitioning on the mat was great. And then just the kicks by Danielson and then the bicep pose looked great. I think Moxley is. I think this match is going to be even more violent than they promised this one was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
Moxley and Danielson, they're both going to beat the hell out of each other. Because I know, no way, Moxley's going to be the only one bleeding. Because I feel like we're going to get some weapons in this match for some reason.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't know why. Because AEW is a little lax on the rules with this stuff sometimes, especially with Moxley matches.
Yeah.
So I think any time Danielson's in the ring, he gets beat up. He's got a red chest. He puts his all into there. So I'm really excited for this match. I think it's going to be brutal, violent. I'm super excited for it.
Dude, I'm excited too. This was a great way to end Dynamite. We're pumped for Revolution, which is coming out March 6th. We have Rampage that we're going to drop soon, so be on the lookout for that. And yeah, it was a great show, a great lead up to Revolution. 2 more weeks, I think, right? Or is it this?
We got the Go Home Dynamite this week coming up.
And then
so.
it's this Sunday. Well, not
Yep.
this Sunday, but next Sunday. Okay, great. A lot of stuff coming your way. All right. That is all I have to say for this episode. It was a great show. It was a great experience being in the arena for it. Any last words?
No, I think the show was all right. I would give it probably an overall, like a B minus, C plus probably. It was a pretty good show. You know, they had some good stuff to build to Revolution. I think they could have done more with Paige and Cole, but that's my only kind of gripe because that's going to be the main event match, I assume. So I feel like that could feel a little bit more important, but overall, it was a pretty good show.
Maybe next week.
Maybe, yeah. They got one show left to make it feel important. So
one more left. All right, guys, you stay safe, and we will be speaking to y'all soon. Bye.
Peace.